afternoon. I know that we have had a great crowd this morning, and we have Mark Pullen visiting with us today.
In the flesh.
And she's got lots of good stuff to tell you. I can tell you that Martha has not been just sitting on her laurels, believe me. She has been busy. And she also has a new something coming out, and I want all you guys to look for it. It is coming out in September, we hope, Martha.
We think September. We
Okay.
think the website will be ready. Oh, Lord. Old ladies trying to get a website up is just awful. And I had one group that couldn't do it, and I finally got another. So just hang in there with me, because it is not easy having a staff of one.
You know how that goes.
You know how that goes.
I do. But I want you to all write this down. I want you to write down rockstarsewing.com.
That's me.
That's Martha.
I was gonna trademark Martha Campbell Pullen. I sold Martha Pullen many years ago, and the lawyer came back. I'm sorry, and I'll stand up in a few minutes. So I'm sorry, you can't get Martha Campbell Pullen. It's too close to Martha Pullen. He said, figure out another name. And I thought, you know what? I'm nearly 80. I might as well get something hot. You know, the kids are saying to somebody, so I said, Rockstar Sewing. The lawyer said, I love it. So I'm now, as soon as I get this website up, I'm Rockstar Sewing by Martha Campbell Pullen, trademarked. And I didn't let anybody know about it until I got that trademark.
Yeah.
Cost $7,000.
Good idea.
Well, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway,
I'm going to go ahead and
go ahead. You go ahead and talk, Shirley. I've
I
known
have
forever.
to take my turn every day.
We've been working together forever, Shirley and I have.
Well, Martha and I go back. I told her I remember I started 50 years ago. Martha started 40 years ago. But we've all learned a lot, haven't we?
We have
Martha?
and had the best time doing it.
We
You know,
came,
sewing is just joy to me.
Martha,
If anybody doesn't like to sew, it won't be joy to you. My sister said it's not joy to me.
well, just FYI, for those of you that maybe not aware, she has written 70 books. She has had So Beautiful magazines.
Oh, yeah.
She has been on 6 of the continents.
Taught sewing on 6
Sewing
of
on
the 7
those.
kinds.
She has had the School of Art Fashion, Martha Pullen Licensed Teachers, and Martha's Sewing Room, PBS, for 17 years. Y'all. And then she has taught in every state in the U.S., along with Canada and Japan. And she is a rock star.
Oh,
So
thank you.
hopefully you're going to enjoy the program this afternoon, and she's going to tell you all about that rock star thing that she's got going. So y'all are in for a treat this afternoon. So sit back, enjoy, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Martha.
Okay. Well, let me tell you what I want to do right now. Oh, gosh. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Come on, y'all. I want to right now give you my personal email, and I'll give you the one I'm going to have as soon as we ever get my Rockstar Sewing on. Now, let me tell you, I finally turned it on. My granddaughter, that y'all remember, the one that had cancer when she's 16, she's totally well now. And she's finished working on a master's in cybersecurity, University of San Diego. But, you know, y'all know that I've been in Australia 28 times to teach. I love Australia, and they love me, and they love my books. And I've been down there 28 times, that long trip. And so I told Cecil, she was at Fordham University in New York City. I said, now, Cecil, your junior year abroad, you have to go to Australia. Well, okay, ma'am. They call me Mammy. Okay, Mammy, I'll go to Australia. Well, I sent her down there, and she loved it so much she hadn't come back yet. That's 5 years. I said, look, I didn't mean for you to move down here. I wanted you. She said, oh, I just love it. And she now is working on a master's in cybersecurity from the University of San Diego online. And she went to Fordham to be a doctor, and she called me and said, Mammy, said, I came up here to be a doctor, but now I'm a hacker. She changed the computer anyway. The reason I'm telling you about Cecil is that she and her boyfriend, Louis is a software engineer who has done cancer, and she has a degree in computer science. So I have turned my website over to them, and they will be able to do it. Y'all, this is a long website. My retreat has so much in it. She wanted me, I'll tell you something about it later. I don't want to say, oh, don't you want to get my retreat? If it ever gets ready. Now, you know, it may never get ready. So I don't promise you're going to be able to get my retreat. Dear Lord, please. Anyway, we're going to have fun this afternoon. Matter of fact, I've got two stories to tell you now. John wanted me to tell my John F. Kennedy story, which I did, but I've got another story. Here's any of you read this book. This is me and John Kennedy right here. Now, let me tell you how I met John Kennedy. I'm going to tell you my story, okay? John said you have to tell that story. Let's see if I can stand up. I'm up. Oh, arthritis is more fun. Y'all just have to forgive me. I'm kind of old, but I am able to get up and down. It doesn't hurt when I get up, just getting up and down. Anyway, I was a cheerleader at the University of Alabama, Roll Tide, when I was a sophomore. And Joe Namath was the star, and Bear Bryant was the coach, and we had the best time. And we're number one in the nation a lot. I don't know whether y'all have noticed. Yeah, the number one in the nation, yeah. Not all the time, but we were defending the number one title, playing Oklahoma, whose coach was Bud Wilkinson. Y'all remember him?
Big 12.
Huh?
Now they're Big 12. Oklahoma is.
Well, anyway, we were playing Oklahoma at the Orange Bowl. What about, you put somebody else's name. We got everybody's name in there. Anyway, we were playing Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl on January 1st, 1963, and it was to be the number one championship. Of course, we went down there ready to roll, and I was with the cheerleaders. The football players got to fly to the games out of town. The cheerleaders had to drive, right? So what's the story here? But anyway, on the way down there, the radio station came on and said that John Kennedy had announced that he would be at the Orange Bowl. Oh, my God. He was my hero. I thought he was the most handsome man I ever met. My first vote in the world, I placed for John Kennedy. I just thought he and Mrs. Kennedy and their little children, I just thought he was everything in my life. I just had a big crush on John Kennedy, as I think every other woman in the country did, maybe. But anyway, John Kennedy's going to be there. I didn't think about the darn ball game. I didn't think about Joe Namath. I didn't think about anything. I've got to meet President Kennedy. I've got to figure out a way. And I'm pretty scheming and conniving. I didn't tell anybody else. I didn't tell those other cheerleaders. I said, well, you won't be. I kept it quiet, but I thought the whole time, I'm going to figure out some way. Well, now the cheerleaders had a rule that if you left the group, you had to be with your 8 people, 4 boys, 4 girls. You're everywhere, all 8 of us had to be together. Otherwise, you'd be kicked off the squad. I thought, I don't give a flip if they do kick me off the squad. I'm not going to try out again next year anyway. Anyway, because I was a speech major and I knew I was going to have to do a lot of theater the next year, and I had time to be a cheerleader and do what I really wanted to do, which was major in speech and theater. Okay, so I don't care if they kick me off today. I don't care. I just got to get on that field. I've got to get on that field and figure out some way. So the ball game day rolled around. There we were out there just cheering on the Alabama side. And I looked over and I could see where he was. He was about 14 rows up, of course, on Bud Wilkinson. I thought, I got to get there. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to get there. So halftime came. And we were all supposed to stay together and go get our Cokes, and then come back. And I was just as sweet as could be. And I just went with the group as we were walking together out to go in where all the concession stand was. And boy, I let them get ahead of me and I stayed on the field. And I ran as fast as I could run. All the way down to the end, across the end zone, and went over to the Oklahoma side, and there he was. Oh, and I had my crepe paper pom-poms. That was the crepe paper days. That if it got wet, it bled, by the way, crepe paper. So I went over there, and I looked up, and there he was, my hero, my idol. And I started crying, ugly crying. I started jumping up and down those pom-poms and wiping my eyes, red crepe paper all over my face. I was just crying. Just hysterical. And he looked down and he said, do you want to come up here? Ugly crying, hysterical crying. Well, he sent a Secret Service man down to get me, or a policeman or something. And they walked me up. They held on to me. I could hardly walk. I was crying so hard. And I got up there. He was sitting on the very edge. And I got up there and I just cried. I was just hysterical. And he stood, of course, and said, how do you do? I said, and then he just said, your team is playing very well. I said, I couldn't even say yes. Anyway, then he just kind of looked at me and he said, I'd like for you to meet Governor Ferris Bryant, Governor of Florida. And then he looked at me and I was still crying. He said, I'd like for you to meet Peter Lawford, his brother-in-law. I could have cared less about that. I was crying so hard. I was just wiping my face, red crepe paper all over my face. And finally he turned around. He said, maybe he said, your team is doing very well. And then he said, what is your name? I went, I could not tell him my name. I didn't know my name. And finally, I thought, Martha, you're just acting a fool. And he stood there the whole time. There he is. He stood there looking at me. He never sat down, and he was just standing there looking at me, squalling. And finally, I thought, Martha, get it together. And I finally said, Mr. President, thank you so much for letting me come up here and meet you. This is the happiest day. And I turned around and started down. I thought, no, wait a minute. He asked me, he said, I told you, he said, I said, what is your name? I didn't know my name. I did not. Anyway, I forgot I would have told you. Anyway, I turned around and started walking down with y'all. By the time I turned around and looked, now this is the Orange Bowl where every photographer at the Orange Bowl was snapping pictures. They had no idea the president might have been shot. They had no idea, but they knew the excitement was going on. This poor Orange Bowl queen is out there in the middle on her float. Not one camera's out there. They were all over looking at me. Anyway, so there were hundreds of cameras there, every newspaper in the country. And anyway, and finally I got down. I finally was able to control myself. I was standing there. The police was still holding me up. I was so weak. Anyway, the photographer started asking a question. What is your name? Martha Campbell. Obviously, you're a cheerleader, Alabama, yes. And he said, now, what did he say to you? And I said, well, he said my team was doing well. Well, what else did he say to you? And I said, well, he asked my name. And he said, well, did you tell him? No, I couldn't remember my name. And I started crying again. They said, by the way, Miss Campbell, what are you studying at the University of Alabama? And I said, speech. Anyway, that's the picture. That picture went all over the country. It was on the front of the New York Times the next day, and they put a half-page spread. The big Orange Bowl section had a quarter of a page of John Kennedy, a quarter of the page of the Orange Bowl queen, and me in a spread eagle. Half of the page was me in a spread eagle. Thought that Orange Bowl queen didn't get her attention, did you? But anyway, then I wrote him a letter after I got home. I actually got to him and said, thank you so much for the honor. You're just my idol, and you're the best president. Of course, I haven't seen many presidents, and I thanked him for letting me come up. It meant everything to me. Well, honey, I got a letter back. And a signed picture. This picture was black and white, but I think this is the one. He's a signed picture, black and white, with him saying, he said, sincerely, John F. Kennedy, and he said below, good luck, JFK. And the letter said how glad he was to meet me. And my team did very, very well. And when I came to Washington to be sure and come to see him, I thought, oh, brother, I'm going to Washington. Be sure and come to see him when I came to Washington. And I thought, oh. And then, do y'all remember, who's trying to go? The watch is speaking to me. And you remember Evelyn Kennedy was his secretary. Everybody remember Evelyn Kennedy? A very famous secretary. So I got another letter from the White House, and it was Mrs. Kennedy. Mrs. Evelyn Lincoln. I'm sorry, Evelyn Lincoln. Forgive me, not Evelyn Kennedy. And she wrote the sweetest letter. She said, the president really enjoyed meeting you. And the Orange Bowl photographer, the Army photographer, they could taking a picture of me and the Indian. Oklahoma had an Indian with a tomahawk, and he was holding me with the tomahawk. He said, I thought you might. And so she signed that picture, and she signed the letter. So I have Evelyn Lincoln's letter and John Kennedy's letter. And that was one of the best things that ever happened. And boy, then when he was killed, how many of you remember where you were when the president was killed?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was in an acting class. I majored in theater, as I told you. You'd never know I majored in theater, would you? Anyway, I was in an acting class, and somehow the word got in the class. We were practicing and boy, we all just started hysterically crying. Everybody did. And Dr. Marion Galloway said, stop it. She was a very old and a grand dame of teaching acting. In fact, Tennessee Williams said that she was one of the biggest people in his life. And there's Marion Galloway Theater. Anyway, she said, stop it. We just kind of screamed, you better stop it now. And we just looked at her. She said, let me tell all of you something. You're actors, or you want to be actors. And actors do not go hysterical. I don't care what happens in your family. If you're in the middle of a play and you find out your mother died, you do not lose it until after that play is over. You have got a responsibility to your audience if you are going to be actors. Your responsibility that minute is to your audience, and then you can fall apart. But she said, all of you stop it now, because she said actors cannot do this while you're in an acting, which I was kind of a good lesson, really. How many times do you remember when we wanted to fall apart and couldn't fall apart? Everybody in this room does. Anyway, now my other story I've just got to tell you, John. This is one of the funniest things that ever happened to me in the sewing. Okay, I'm teaching in a big show out in Los Angeles. This is a good story. out in Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas. Lord, I taught all over the world and had the best time with any human you've ever known. But I had a class, and y'all, it was 75 people in that class jammed in so close that the little tables that you couldn't even move your arms. There were 75 machines, 75 people in a room about as big as from that case right there up to here. It was ridiculous how they shoved them in. They wanted to take my class. It was lace-shaped bow. And I thought, and by the way, 75 brand new top of the line sewing machines. And I had one helper from the company and me and Margaret. I brought Margaret. I hardly had seen that brand new machine, and I had to tell them how to get a wing needle in it, how to set it on wing needle entredot, which is a stitch. By the way, I'm supposed to be selling sewing machines too. I'd hardly ever seen that new machine. And so we tried, and I said, if any of you own this machine, would you please raise your hand? I want to place you by somebody that does not own this machine. That's what you call group teaching. I couldn't get it. By the way, there was no room. The tables were so close. There was no room for me, the teacher, to get in between any of those tables. There was one section, and the chairs were all the way over to the wall. The one on the right was sitting on the wall. There was no way I could get to anybody, period. Anyway, so we started teaching, and I showed us, we had good direction. You know, our books were written well. It was a lace-shaped bow, and I had a cardboard box very similar to this kind of, I have these made at Hobby Lobby. I'll tell you where to get these now, how to have them made. But a board like this, and they all had drawn off their lace-shaped bow, and they had lace. Some of them never had, most of them never had a lace shaping class ever. They had their glass head pins, and of course the stabilizer was in the bag. And I said, now we're going to lace shape. All right, they started lace shaping. They did really well. And now look at your neighbor. Does your neighbors look like yours? If not, help each other. That's what you do. You can't get to anybody, and that's not the way I teach. But anyway, they all had a lace shape bow, and they held them up. Boy, you're so smart. This is good. Oh, dear God, we've gotten this far. And I had them pin it flat. I said, now pin your lace to your board and put your stabilizer on. And now I want to show you wing needle entredot, which I got to sell machines too, by the way. It's the most gorgeous machine, most gorgeous. It was gorgeous. Put your wing needle in. What's a wing needle? Oh, God. They had a wing needle in their bag, and everybody helped each other put a wing needle. Some didn't know, never seen a wing needle. Oh, I said, Lord, help me, help me. I've never been in a situation like this. Couldn't get to anybody. Could not get anywhere. So anyway, I said, okay, now let's put your stabilizer and let's start sewing that beautiful bow that okay. I said, Martha, this is beautiful. I thought you would love that stitch. Remember, I got to sell sewing machines too. Oh, Martha, we love this. Good, do you love? Yes, this is beautiful. This is so much fun. And they were going around it, just everybody was looking, oh, this is beautiful. Over here on the corner, on the second row back. Now, I couldn't get to her if my life depended on it. Couldn't get. So she raised her hand. Martha, you're going to have to come help me. I thought, come help you? I can't. I said, oh, honey, listen, I'm sure you got an A+. I'm sure you're doing this perfectly. Because everybody's got an A+ at Martha Pullen's. Just keep on sewing. I can't get there. I get there. Okay. Everybody else was sewing and sewing. And about 5 minutes later, she said, Martha, you've got to come help me. I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, oh, dear Lord. And I thought, okay. And I thought, I've got to get there. And I asked the ladies, I said, no, they had to shove the table. Please let me through. I'm so sorry. They were not happy. They had to shove up and move the tables. And I said, please, I'm so sorry. But I've got to get through. I said, honey, I know you're making an A+. I was trying to talk to them. I know you've got an A+, but I said, I'm so sorry. Please let me through. Not happy. And so I finally got over there to tell her I'm sure she had an A+. And I looked down and I thought, oh, dear Lord. God, I've never laughed at a student in my life. And I'm going to laugh. By the way, everybody else had kind of figured out what was happening over in that corner. There wasn't one sewing machine sewing. And everything was silent. They had all seen what was happening. I said, okay, I'll be right back. And the other ladies were in the room. Here their sewing machines are. They're holding it, going just like they're beating their heads on their sewing machines. Got their faces like, because you can imagine maybe what's happening. She's sewing right through that cardboard box. And okay, that's top of the line machines are about $7,000. And that's $7,000. And by the way, I said, I'll be right back. She said, okay. She kept. Everybody in the room was silent except her. And I thought, you sorry things, don't you dare laugh. Everybody knew I was up there about to die. They didn't. And they had their heads down and they were beating their heads on their sewing machine. I thought you better be quiet. They were quiet. And so Margaret, a lady who went with me to help me teach the class. Now Margaret was a large lady, and she had on a beautiful red dress. And now you don't miss a large lady in a red dress in a room that is so small that you can. And I thought, I gotta get Margaret. I can't do this. And I paid Margaret to come out there and help me. And so I said, Margaret. I looked over in that corner of the room where all the, in a room with sewing machine, you have machines, boxes stacked up everywhere, and racks of clothes. I looked over there in one corner, Margaret. I didn't see Margaret. She's a large lady with a red dress. So I looked over here on this side of the room and where the racks were, it was pretty. I said, Margaret. There was no word at all from Margaret. Sorry thing, she couldn't have left this room. And so I thought, well, there's one place to look. And here all the sewing machine boxes are back here. And I looked over there, and there was a hole that had been dug. They'd been shoved out into the room. And I looked behind there, and here is Margaret. I said, she's hanging onto the wall, laughing so hard. I said, Margaret, and she went just like this. Margaret, what's going on? Oh, dear God, I've got to do this place. And all the ladies were, so I got that. I've got to get back over there. Well, this time, y'all, I looked, and it was as if Moses had parted the Red Sea. I mean, there was plenty of room for me just to walk like this. They got out of my way. So I went back to her, and I said, honey, just stop just a minute. Okay. And I said, I have made a terrible mistake. Oh, what's your mistake? I said, how do you say this? I forgot to tell you to remove your cardboard box. What do I say? Remove your cardboard box from behind your beautiful lace-shaped bow. And you made a perfect lace-shaped bow. She looked at hers. And she looked over at the one next door, and she said, ah! She started screaming and laughing. She was laughing, and then, of course, all the rest of my little cuties, they were doubled over. They were doubled over laughing. I've never seen such laughter. And she said, Martha, this is not your mistake. Any fool knows not to sew through a cardboard box. And I said, I'm glad you said it, not me. So anyway, I said, no. And I said, Margaret, she'd come out from behind the wall. I said, Margaret, get her another bow ready, please. And then you can catch her up, and then she'll be, I'm doing it right now, Martha. I'm doing it right now. So she brought it over to her, and they finally stopped laughing. And she was laughing harder than anybody. Well, guess what happened next? You'd think that'd be over, wouldn't you? All right, one lady in the back of the room said, well, pass it around. Oh, yeah, we'd like to see that, because she sold the whole. So we start passing. Oh, this is just a beautiful stitch. And look what it did to a cardboard, as if you're ever going to be sold through a cardboard. Look what it did through this cardboard box. And oh, this stitch is gorgeous with a winged needle. Oh, they were just going crazy on the quality of her sewing through a cardboard box. And in the next few minutes, I had my sewing machine representative there. She wrote tickets for 7 top-of-the-line machines based on the fact it's sold through a cardboard box. And I've had over and over and over again. That's one of my favorites. I wish I had gotten her name, because I've told that story on 5 continents. I've told that story, and I didn't get her name. I should have done it. But I've had some unbelievable experiences. Huh? What?
Yeah. Let's pull a name for our drawing.
Pull a name.
Yeah.
It's okay. Turn it around.
So it's the books and the fabric and the cork.
Oh my goodness! Looky here. Cork, fabric. I think we did 2.5 yards of this fabric, and safety pins, and 2 books, not 1 but 2. Zen sheep and modern heritage quilts. Oh my! This is a nice present. We got it for some person. You want to draw it, Brother John?
I'm gonna let you draw it.
All right, you let Sister Martha draw it. Okay. I'll look the other way. I always. All right, here we go. You can read it. Okay.
Carolyn Sackett.
Well, Carolyn, here's your present. And by the way, these lovely fabrics are from Fabric Finders. Some of the greatest fabrics in the store, Fabric Finders. I've got some of them up here. I just love it. I'll tell you in a few minutes about the I Spy quilts. Anyway, thank you, Brother John. Anyway, let's go. I go back a little bit. I'll tell you. They've asked me to tell you. It's the only reason I'm telling you. I have my new business, Rockstar Sewing. I had a non-compete and was not able to really do anything in the sewing industry for about 6 years. That's the reason you haven't heard from me or seen me, because I just had a non-compete that I had signed. I shouldn't have signed it, but I did. Anyway, God knows what I'm Now, non-compete's over now, and I couldn't wait to get. And also, you know what? God just so works things out just perfectly. Joe was really sick. I don't know whether y'all know, but my unbelievable, fabulous, best man in the world, Dennis' husband, got Lewy body dementia, and that's kind of like Alzheimer's. But the beautiful thing was that he needed help for about 4 years, and we had long-term health care. It's the best thing we ever bought in our lives, and that's what both of us had said. And I was able to have help 14 hours a day at my home. So I was able to keep him at home and watch everything that was taken. You know, you have to be careful when you have older people whose mind is going or gone. And it was a blessing that I was at home. I was able to be at home with him for about 4 years with help. I'm no saint. I had marvelous help. But you see, God had it all worked out. I did not need to be on the road when he needed me, and I needed him. He was the best man that ever lived on this earth. And he went to heaven in 2015. I don't know why he left me so early, but he just moved on. I'll see him soon. Well, maybe not too soon. I'm not looking for the first train out, but whenever God does say, Martha, it's your turn, I'll be glad to see Joe again. Anyway, my non-compete is over, and I'm now a rock star sewing. And I wanted to do online things. And John's son, Robert Douthit, he's the one that knows how to do all this stuff. So I hired Robert to come to Huntsville. He was there for 4 days. He bought all of my cameras, and he is marvelous. And he set up a studio that's kind of like a Hollywood studio in one of my bedrooms. So I was ready to start doing the videos. I've done it from my rock star sewing. This is the reason the first people couldn't do it. It has 47 videos in it. 47. I talk a lot. and I want to do videos on things that have never been done before. I wear my antique clothes to show them the techniques. And I told a lot about how to make everything easy. My name is Martha Easy Pullen. And I used to tell people that. And Joe heard me one time. He said, "Go around, tell the world your name is Martha Easy Pullen." I said, "Listen, Joe, I'm an old lady. And most of the ladies that are there in my class are old ladies with me. And they know when I say Martha Easy, well, that means I'm going to make it easy. Because if a teacher can't make it easy, the teacher doesn't deserve to teach." "Oh, you did that?" If you ever go to a teacher like that, you walk out and get your money back because you don't deserve that. A teacher needs to make things easy and fun and help you. You know, any question is a good question. If you need help, you get help. And that's what teachers are supposed to do. Now, I'm a teacher. I have a PhD in teaching. So anyway, we just got to make it easy and make it fun. Or else who in the world's going to go to a sewing class? Nobody. Anyway, I got on that bandwagon. But anyway, Martha Easy Pullen, he said, "Martha, don't say that." I said, "Joe, these ladies know what I mean." He said, "Well, don't ever say it if you're talking in front of any men." I said, "Well, I've got better sense than that." Okay, so I go to VDTA, and the 800 people for the big conference, I was the keynote speaker. I was trying to tell them how easy it is to get heirloom sewing. I said, "Listen, my name is Martha Easy Pullen." "Well, there's that Joe." Oh, Lordy. He didn't like that very much. But anyway, I did 47 videos. I've got about 10 or 12 patterns, including ladies' patterns, full size. You got to stick them together. I learned how to do all that, when you get them digitally, but it's not that big a deal. You take some tape and you stick them together. And so many patterns. All these little children's clothes. I'll show you some of them. Ladies' things. Most of it had been placed for machine embroidery. I am insane over machine embroidery. How many of you love machine embroidery? Oh, it's just more fun than anything. And most of my patterns, and one of the patterns I'm so fond of, I wear nearly every day, a sweater or a jacket and a sleeveless shell. I love. And the one I did many years ago that I love was called the Feed Your Bosom blouse shell. And why is it a Feed Your Bosom? Well, the front and the back are exactly the same. And when whether any of you ever spill anything on your bosom, anybody ever spill anything? I knew if you're right down the front. And if you're out somewhere and you have a bosom food, it's nice just to be able to run in the bathroom, turn the blouse around, and you've got a brand new clean blouse. But it's the same on the front and the back. It was always my favorite blouse, and I had about 10 of them, wore all of. But that's your Feed the Bosom. I didn't name it that way. Some people would be offended by Feed Your Bosom blouse, so I called it the reversible shell. I know what to do. But anyway, I've got some fun things. 4 baby bonnets, beautiful baby bonnets, big baby bonnets. Christening dress, I'll show you some of the stuff. There are 150 embroidery designs. 150. Now, that's what's been the kicker. It is very hard to download embroidery designs, and to get them. It really is. I've got a ton of stuff, and I've got a bunch of other projects too, like purses and Christmas stockings. It's not just clothes, and it's a lot of stuff That's what I've been doing, getting ready for you. If the website ever gets done, you might want to join my class. It's called Rockstar Sewing Retreat. Anyway, now I've told you all about that. Teach how to do heirloom sewing, everything about lace shaping. There are 57 lace shapes like this one, which all you do is download them. Let me tell you something. I learned 2 secrets. I'm going to give you something new, those of you that know about lace shaping. The new printers today, what kind of
Inkjet.
inkjet printers, they don't bleed. You can put water on them. And it used to, we had to trace all these designs off on the fabric. Guess what? With the new ones, and I've given you all this just to run out on the inkjet printer. You put it down, and you can work right by the copy rather than having to draw it off on your clothes. It's the most wonderful new trick in the world. Let me tell you, I learned another trick too. I've been teaching you all how to do heirloom lace shaping a long time. I learned to make it easy. These are some of my yayas. And don't have to get this brand. To make it easy, what you do after you get your lace shape, press till dry. You know, a little spray starch, and the spray starch, which is, where is that spray starch, Sean? Have I lost it? Here it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Fabulous. I don't know whether you're using this or not, but it's fabulous. Got to get a squirter on it. But this is just a light, and there's a heavier weight one too for machine embroidery. But this one is the lightest one. You give it, and by the way, if you do Niagara spray start, you hold it up this far, squirt, squirt. That's all you want. If you go like this, you have to go get a hairdryer before you can do your sewing. Yes, and then the little trick we always said was press till dry. No steam. Press till dry, press till dry, press till dry, or you will cry. Okay, that means press it until it's darn well dry. Okay, and anyway, then I have found a trick. It's wonderful. Rather than having to pin it and take it off the board, you're not going to sew through the board though. I know that was such a fun. Anyway, these glues. Now you can use Elmer's glue, but I like to. These are the these are the Roxanne's, which are wonderful. Just a tiny little bit of glue on the outside, everywhere you're going to sew it. After you get spray starch, you should a tiny little bit of glue, and then let it dry. I mean dry, bone dry, where it's stuck on there. Take it off and then just do your sewing, and you don't have to sew over pins. You don't have to have the pins stuck. Now these are my 2 new tricks. Is you can use the copier and just work right on top of that piece of paper, which never could before, and then the glue it down. It makes it so easy. Just a dab of glue. I mean a tiny bit. And there's one of them, I think it's Aileen's, that has a tiny little. This one has a 2-way applicator, so it may have that little skinny thing where you just do a little dot. But let it dry completely, because glue in your machine will not work too well together. All right, I mean wet glue. So those are some of my tricks. And all right, now I want to show you some things. I'm going to show that those are some. Oh, and you know what? Oh, one more thing. I'm sorry, I got to show you. Hang on. You're going to press right on top of those pins. For instance, this one's ready to go, so I'm going to come over here, press right on top of those pins. Now, guess what happens if you have plastic head pins? It will put green and purple and yellow and blue all over your garment. You don't want that. So, excuse me. You've got to use glass head pins, which I really love these. These are some that all brands does. That's glass head, but I really love. How many of you have learned about the magic pins? Oh, for arthritis in your hands, you just pick them up. They're so comfortable to stick into a board. They don't hurt your fingers at all. And you can press right on top of them. But they're just so much fun on your fingers. So if you haven't tried any of these, I hardly use anything but my magic pins now. It has a little plastic top, but it doesn't melt when you put the iron on top of it. They're fabulous. I just found out about those not too long ago. And of course, when I do my wing needle work, or when I do zigzagging with white lace, or use white or ecru lace is what I use, I love the Madeira 60 weight thread. And I guess you got the ecru. This is the white. I guess ecru, but I use white or ecru thread. I use white thread a lot because my laces are usually white. You can use the color of the fabric if you want to, but I usually like white or ecru. That Madeira cotton, it's cotton thread. This is what I love for my lace work. I think there's some of my tricks. All right, now I'm just going to show you some things. I thought you'd like me to bring some pretty things to show you, and that's what we've got. Now, Miss Barbara, are you able to hand those over so I don't have to walk over there? Oh, this is terrible to ask you about me. We got a little camera over there. I'm supposed to look over and show these things to this little camera. So if I remember, I said, Barbara, just say Martha if I didn't remember. Okay, she's going to show them for me. All right. Let me show you. I've got some really cute projects. And I love Crazy Patch, and I love things like, this is my little Bernina purse. Now, you don't have to, if you're not a Bernina person, you don't, but now, John, y'all have got to get this Bernina fabric. They've got some, Benitex has the fabric with antique Bernina machines on it in black, and yeah, I think all you Bernina people will get it whether you ever use it or not. But anyway, it's got the little Bernina machine, a little spool. And let me tell you how I made these spools. Hobby Lobby has plain old wooden spools. But yet we need to make it look like it's an antique spool, didn't we? So we put the, for you to run off on your copier, and we put little antique pictures, and you just tape it on or glue it on there. So it looks like you have an antique spool from France, 1850. How about that? Then I love Crazy Patch. This little purse is fun. I love that look. That's one of the projects. Now here's the second one. This one has, once again, it has my Bernina on it, but this has some bigger, that has some ladies on the back. So whatever machine embroidery, and just put your stuff. Do any of you like Crazy Patch? Oh, you put stuff on it. Anywhere, and by the way, these the stitches for the Crazy Patch, those are, well, these are, but you always use your machine embroidery. That's a great place. Now, these are just regular stitches on your machine, and the heavier your thread, the better that looks. So let me pass these around. And by the way, just kind of, if you have an ink pen, try not to let the ink pen hit it. But remember, these clothes have been around 150 years. You're not going to hurt them. I'm going to pass all my antiques around. And then, oh, y'all, I'm just crazy about Crazy Patch. This is one of my projects. It's one of the extra, but this is not my 12 dress patterns. But I want you to look at this monogram when it comes around. This monogram is from 1857, and I've had it digitized exactly the way it was in 1857. So there's a whole alphabet. This is, to me, one of the most beautiful, and it's from 1857. Truly authentic. Okay, here's Christmas stocking. And actually, we have a white Christmas stocking, too. I love Crazy Patch. It's fun and easy. And here's the white version of the Christmas stocking, just putting your stuff together. You know, so much fun to put machine embroidery and machine stitches.
Are some of these patterns in your old so beautiful?
No, these are all brand new.
I have all your magazines.
Well, I have them all too. And you know what? I go back and look at them all the time. Do you? I just love to look at those on that. No, these are all new projects. Everything's new. I have, I forgot to tell you, they're 150. That's 150, okay, embroidery designs. Now this one, okay. Now some people love machine embroidery on their christening dresses. Mostly we do lace shaping. But for those of you that love machine embroidery on your christening dresses, and I would love, you can use this beautiful, this is from an antique, isn't that a beautiful design? You got some pretty machine embroidery. And if you look here around the skirt, you can put it around the skirt. We put the hip, but for those that love machine, by the way, I have another design that matches it for the sleeves. This is a little bit different for those who love machine embroidery. Here we go. Beautiful. Thank you. Now the one that I started, got some little boy things now. Except I'm gonna tell you about this this bubble. I have two great grandsons, so you know I'm gonna be doing little boy things. Okay, this is the pattern, and the little it just buttons up in the back. Now the sleeves, you can put a long sleeve, and I've got girl sleeves too. So you can make this a girl bubble, putting girl sleeves. So, and by the way, we have about four collar patterns for the bubble and the little girl dress, and 4 sleeves for the bubble. I didn't put I did put a boy sleeve for the little girl dress, because some people like those plain sleeves. Are bubble number 1. Okay. So they can see the look. This is so sweet. This is a little Easter bubble, I think. For those whose daddies will let them wear a little bit of lace. Is this sweet or what? Now that's another little bubble. That's one of the patterns. And that's the big collar. And by the way, those collars also are made for the little girl pattern I have. This is the little girl dress. And you know, I love this. And this is fabric finders. Now y'all, they've got a lot of fabric finders fabrics here that are fabulous. And I've got some of them up here because I wish. Now here's what I love to do. Get some gingham and make piping, and make piping that goes with it. And this is one of the colors. This is the little girl dress, and the christening dress, of course, is the high yoke dress. I also have slips to go with all of them, a christening length slip, as well as the slips to go with little girls' dresses. This is the one that I had more fun making. Y'all, when you run a business with 40 full-time employees and 100 part-time, there's not much time to sew. There really isn't. You got to write books and get on the road and go sell the stuff in order to make the payroll. But when I started working on this, is the christening dress I made, and I wanted to put it, this pattern. I love of course, the frou-frou. And I've loved the wide ruffle. We never had wide. And I love these tucks. And I've got videos in my class that show you how to do all of these things. I don't mean to talk about my class. I can't stand it when the teacher gets, oh, let me tell you what I'm selling. I don't like to say what I'm selling, but if you're interested, I do have 47 videos that show you how to do all this stuff on my new Rockstar. So isn't that fun? Isn't that a beautiful dress? And by the way, John, they have a fabulous selection of French laces here. Everybody listen to me?
Yep.
And I've asked them to please make a sale price. So there's a book that shows that they've got fabulous, huge selection of French laces, and they're 30% off this weekend because I asked for it and they said okay. So if you want laces, this is the time to stock up. Now I just love little girls' dresses, and this is one of my little. This is the little bluebirds machine embroidery, which I thought was precious with that. And let me tell you about the Swiss Batiste too. They have in this store, John and Barbara. There's a case of Batiste over there, and they say it's Nalona, but the Nalona factory closed 30 years ago. But Speckler Vogel out of New York has some fabulous Batiste. All of it is not Swiss, and it's 100% cotton. It's all beautiful. You don't have to get the $29 a yard Swiss, although I love it. And they've got every bit of the Batiste that I used in all these projects. Solid over there on those shelves. I checked it as soon as I got here. All right, this is one of my little favorites. I told you I love machine embroidery. And the little rosebuds, these are so nice. The rosebuds are my designs. And then we've got a little lace work up here. I thought that was one of the sweetest. I love machine embroidery, and I like to use it everywhere I can. Isn't that sweet? And the pattern is in the book. Okay. Barbara show. We're doing this live so people at home can see it too. Okay, this little suit. I love bubbles, and the pattern goes either for a boy or a girl. And you know what I'm with? I love art. Now see, I've got the red piping, the plaid collar, and the plaid. Isn't that cute? Anyway, that's the pattern, the little boy bubble. Now let me show you something else. I don't know whether you know about fabric finders. I've got some of them up here, John. Thank you, honey. You see the lavender print and the little bitty gingham. A tiny little bit fabric finder puts a teeny little gingham with every one of their prints, so you can do your piping out of that gingham. And these are cute little. You see these little rosebuds with that little gingham, that little pink gingham. That's one of the. Well, they've got some sweet things. And this little boy suit. Okay, look at this little boy suit. Now that's not my pattern. That's another one. But that fabric has airplanes on it. It's right over here. That's the cutest fabric I've seen in a long time for little boys. Just the little airplanes scattered around. And by the way, then they've got all the ginghams that go with it, so you can get that to make the piping. This one, I think, now this fabric has been out of print a number of years. But I'm designing fabrics for Benetix now. And I've got one coming that's going to be very similar to this. Not exactly, but isn't that a sweet little suit? But if you want to get that look, if you will just buy this airplane fabric that we've got right over here, not the micro check. I love those little ginghams that go with it. Now, I'm going to show you some of my antiques now. I brought a lot of my antique clothes with me. Little boys. And listen, when you start hunting, this one I purchased in Paris at the Paris flea market. Now, little boys, now can you imagine unbuttoning, if you had to go to the bathroom, unbuttoning all this stuff? Well, guess what? They thought of everything. Look here.
Oh, that's a little opening.
You just wait. There we are. There's an opening. Poor little boy, he'd be pee on himself if he had to try to unbutton. But don't you worry, he's got a hole there. Okay. And the reason that little boy clothes are so hard to find, little boys wear their clothes out. Think about your boys. Don't they completely wear the knees out of their clothes and tear the buttons off? And well, that's the reason there are not many little boys' clothes left to buy. Now, I want to tell you a secret. All right, I'm gonna tell you another secret. How many of you have the machine of your dreams already at home? How many of you have what you just dream about at home? How many of you do not yet have the machine of your dreams at home? I'm giving you permission today to buy it. And let me tell you something. Some of you are retired. And I'm going to tell you, all you retired ladies, what to do. Some of you are just hanging on to that money. I've got my IRA. I just can't spend anything for myself because I might need it. Yeah, let me tell you what, you aren't going to need it. And if you're doing without a sewing machine that you love, go write your check out of your retirement account because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. When you die, your children get to the Mercedes store as fast as they can with your retirement. And I don't want you to do without what you want and need and think, oh, well, what if I die tomorrow? We'll bring it back and we'll sell your used machine. Don't worry. A fine machine you can sell very quickly. And do not do without what you want. I'm not talking about need, not food. I actually, a beautiful sewing machine is a need. It's mama's need, not mama's greed. Now, let me tell you what to do to make the payment. John said one of the top of the line, about $200 a month is 0 interest for 4 years. Let me tell you how you want to make that $200 a month. Start a little sewing business. You can do some little embroidery, sell it on eBay or sell it on Etsy. Very easy to set up an Etsy account. If a fool like me can do it, I even set up an Etsy account. Put whatever you want to sell. It's very easy. Get PayPal. All you got to do is, it's very easy. And there's people making $5, $10, $25, and even $100,000 with their sewing machines at home. And I know just one who's making 100, but she's hit the 6-figure mark. And what she's doing, she's got little blankets. She gets them out of China. You can figure out how to bring all that stuff in. It's very easy. And I'm not talking about raving about China, but they do make fabulous things at a low price that we use. Nearly everything in here, the clothes are made in China, so I'm not going to fuss at them. But anyway, you can get these little blankets for about $2 and $3. And then you can do some beautiful embroidery on this lady that makes over 100,000, and I took your class years ago and pure off, and I did everything you told me to do, and I hit 6 figures. She was crying her eyes out. She came to the Paul Aponte's event there in Seattle. I started crying too because I never knew anybody that did that before, but she did. But many people are making 2,000, 10,000, 15,000, and they're mostly embroidering with their home embroidery machine. And just putting people's personalizing. What she does, her biggest seller, she puts baby's feet, an embroidered baby's feet, the baby's name, and you can buy all those little knit things. You don't have to sew any of them. And by the way, people are making christening dresses for, I guess, a simple one with a nice fabric and pretty French lace is $300 or $400. That's the simple one, and they go up to $8,000. Now, that's just the way they are. And you say, that's ridiculous. No, it is not. The work that goes into these really elaborate ones, with a lace shape and it has 100 yards, that is not too much at all. But mostly they're selling for $300 or $400. Cute little boys' suits like that are selling for about $175. You can make your $200 a month sewing for people. Easy. Anyway, that gives you permission to go ahead and buy that machine, doesn't it? Okay. Okay, let me tell you another way to earn money with sewing. I go to Goodwill stores. I just love thrift shops and Goodwill stores. That's my favorite shopping. I don't like to buy new stuff. It's too expensive. And petticoats like this, you go in the back and look around in the people's boxes. An antique store, go and look for the junk. It'll be dirty. It'll have stains on it. Don't you worry. You can keep it soaking in a biz bath or Clorox too. Now, not Clorox. For 7 or 8 days, all that will come out. And you should have seen this one. I think I paid about $20 for this. Look at the work. Now, let me tell you what to do with it. Most of us are not going to wear a petticoat like this. Turn it into a christening dress. I'm going to show you a christening dress in a minute. And by the way, you don't have to have matching fabric for the top. You can cut up another antique outfit and make the top, the bodice, and sleeves. Let me show you. Can you find the one? No, not that one. Let me show you something. I need the one to show them. It has that beautiful skirt on. It's that next one, I think. No, it's the next one on the front, honey. The one on the front right there.
No.
All right, let me show you this one. This dress, can you see what I did here? By the way, you can sell these for $400 or $500 easy, and probably you pay $25 or $50 for the skirt. You don't have to do any work. This is an antique skirt. You have to do no work. Just use it, cut it off, and the top. See what the top was? It was an antique blouse. It had a big hole in the back. So if they got a big hole, cut them up and use it. These things you're not going to wear these things. They're beautiful embroideries. Make your bodice. Also, get a beautiful dress or that has something pretty on top. Cut it out, put it on your shelf. You probably don't wear something around your neck. I don't wear something. But you can cut out the beautiful embroidery and zigzag it down to a shelf. But is this pretty or what?
Oh, yeah.
And I cut up an antique blouse for the top, and I bought the antique skirt and cleaned it up. Now that, and by the way, those are, here, pass them. I'm sorry. I need to be passing these around, not holding them. Forgive me. All right, now this one, this is a fascinating dress. She's showing everybody. I'm glad you're showing her. It has Ayrshire embroidery. They probably didn't see that. But this dress has Ayrshire embroidery by machine. The Swiss came out with the embroidery machines about 1857. And now look at this top. I've got to say, this is called a conversion dress. Now, can you see that originally it was scoop neck and short sleeve? That would be about 1830, 1850, 1860. They had the baby's christening dress with scoop necks and short sleeves. I bet the babies froze to death in the winter. But all right, here's the story here. The grandmother made it with short. Then also 20 years later, the granddaughter got it, and she didn't want that kind of christening dress. She wanted a more modern style that had a high neck and long sleeves. So that's why this is called a conversion dress. Can you see that a top was put in that doesn't match, and sleeves were put in, and that's called a conversion dress. We know how to do that, don't we? That's part of what we love about sewing, is just converting things. Now, the Ayrshire embroidery skirt is gorgeous. Now, let me just tell you a little secret. This is a long dress. Do you know why they made it this long? Before the turn of the 19th, not this century, because the pastor or the priest, when the baby was baptized, they prayed that the child would live to be this long. Now, that's the truth. Isn't that a sweet story? They prayed the baby would live to be this long. That's one of the reasons for these long dresses. Okay, pass it word. And I want to thank my friends here at this store. They pressed every one of these things. I can't stand and iron anything. They press these. But this is a beautiful, this has the fish shape. I've never really gotten too many fit, but fish stands for Christ, you know. And my friend made this outfit. This is a jacket. And it has the fish on the skirt. You see that? It has the fish. It also has a beautiful embroidery. Yeah, and this was done, the alphabet was done in very narrow lace. It's a one, and then that was hand embroidery, but you can do it in machine. But anyway, this is the fish shape, which I thought was pretty. And then this is, that's Susan York. Susan York did the most beautiful dresses. I don't know whether y'all ever remember her in the magazine, but oh. And this is one of my Susan York dresses I wanted to bring and share with you. Now I'm going to show you something. Probably you look at this, the lace shaped bow. Remember the lady in the cardboard box? Anyway, now look at this dress. It's gorgeous. Does that look like a hard dress to make? No, it's not. Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you how you do one. This is 3 little scallop skirts. I'm going to tell you how to make a scallop skirt the easy way. On my videos, I show you exactly how to turn these pin tucks. It's so easy, just easy. But let me tell you how to make the skirt, okay? I'll pass that around. If you want to make a scallop skirt, do you think it'd be hard times to make them all the same as you go across? And well, it would be, but I'm going to tell you the easy way. I figured this out years ago. You're going to make a scallop skirt. Now, this one would be a short scallop skirt. Anytime you make a scallop skirt, you work on a piece of fabric. You don't cut those out before you do. You do everything before you cut anything. Okay, now here's what I'm going to do, the easy way. I want my scallops, if I'm going to do diamonds or hearts or whatever, I want them to go all the way around and match, right? I don't want half a heart on the side. Here's what you do. You sew together the side seam. You got a skirt front, skirt back. You know what you do? You start making your scallops at the side seam in the middle. When you get over there, you got some fabric left. Guess what you're going to do with that fabric? Cut it off. And then it's perfect. Your heart's made. Aren't you going to start on this side? Scallop, heart, diamond, go all the way out. Exactly. Guess what you're going to have with any luck? You're going to have the same. Just chop it off and then bring them together, and you have a perfect scallop skirt, a perfect heart skirt, a perfect diamond skirt, and it always matches. And that was it. I used to fold my skirt and draw that scallop and cut it out. Oh dear Lord, well, you just have to throw it away. That's the truth. Now then, how do you make that scallop skirt? You're working on a straight piece of fabric, right? You haven't cut any scallops, so you shape your scallops over there, and then after you zigzag down, you've got your whatever you have. You zigzag down the top on machine entredo, and then just the top part. And if you're going to leave that, you don't leave it. You can leave, and then you come in here and you cut away the bottom. After you zigzag or machine entredo the top down. And then you just cut away the bottom, and then you put whatever you want on the bottom of the skirt. Just usually you got to put some piece of edging. How about them apples? Now, is that fun? I like everything the easy way. I've told you that. Oh, y'all, this is fun. This is another antique piece. Have you thought about when women just had outhouses and big hoop skirts, how much trouble it would have been to have used the ladies' room? Well, let me just show you what they did. I love it. This is called split drawers. Now, isn't this beautiful, though? Look at the lace shaping on it. But guess what? She didn't have any problem with one of the ladies' room because guess what? It's open, completely open. The drawers are open. You're just squatted. Don't you love it? That's what they had to do. And when they had all those clothes on, they couldn't get their clothes. It was an outhouse. And they had the indoor plumbing.
This is a history class. Too.
That's part of the reason I love these clothes so much. I love the techniques, but I really love the history that goes with them. That's one of Joanna's dresses. And this is one of the ones where we started on the side seam and made the beautiful, I'll let you just kind of hold part of it over there. And then, all right, now hang on the skirt a little bit, Barbara, hang on the skirt. That's where we did the piece of fabric and did the heart and the heart and the heart, chopped it off on the end, and then zigzagged the top part. And you put entredot in the bottom or lace. But that's the easy way of doing this. Isn't that a pretty dress? She wore this for a cotillion of some kind. And by the way, you say, well, what pattern do you use? Any pattern out of the book. You don't have to have a pattern for any of this. If you're making little girls' dresses, of course, you need a yoke pattern. Now, there may be some others, but you need a high yoke or a medium yoke pattern. If you're doing adult things, whatever dress you like. And then put the stuff on it. It's called embellish. Now, be careful. There's a straight pin in the top of that one, honey. Be careful with that one. Here is another petticoat. Probably bought for $12 in the back of an antique store somewhere. Nasty.
Yeah.
Nasty is good because they lower the price if they're nasty. Okay. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. I buy stuff at antiques, and some of them I don't know for sure that it will come clean, but I got it so cheap I bought it anyway. Look at this. Pretty, and lots of tucks. You'll find in antique clothing. Lots of tucks. And by the way, tucks are cheap. Tucks don't cost anything. You just got to have a machine that does a nice tuck. And here's another little dress I call French sewing on a budget because it's mostly tucks. You don't have to have 400 yards of lace. You just got to put tucks on there. Isn't that a sweet little dress? And that's just, look here, little high yoke pattern, except that's a little bit curved, which is good. And then just beautiful tucks on that dress, which is one of the most elegant ways to make an antique dress. Now, this little dress has tons of tucks. It's an antique little midi dress. And those were popular around the turn of the century up to the 1930s. They had some popularity a few years ago, but they midi dresses kind of go in and out for children. This one has a million tucks on that dress, and it's just beautiful. Now, my Bernina, as you know, I'm representing Bernina, my first machine and my last machine. Although there's many wonderful machines. Now, don't kid yourself. There's wonderful machines, and this brother is a wonderful machine that John has both. But I want to show you, Bernina has some. How many of you are Bernina people? Died in the world? Okay. I understand. I started with, and guess what? I'm back with Bernina now. I'm a Bernina ambassador. And they have four fabulous Bernina pin-up feet. And you buy the needles, the proper needles to go with them. And another, I'm going to show you some puffing in a minute. Another foot that I use all the time. I use the wide gathering foot, and I call it the puffing foot because I use it for puffing. Puffing is when you gather on both sides a little material. And this one is fabulous. And I like the wide one because I work with these little bitty pieces of material. It seems to hold it down better. The wide foot. What are those? Oh, those are just the four pin-toe feet. You got to have those. I love the Bernina feet. How many of you love the Bernina feet? Oh, Lord. It's just, and I want to tell you about my first Bernina story. I was selling Elnas, and by the way, I'm sure that's a lovely machine. I haven't sold on one in 40 years, but I was trying to sell Elnas, and the Elnas ate the lace. The tension was just awful. And I was trying to sell Elnas. I jammed them, trying to demonstrate, and I jammed two of them because they ate the lace. I wasn't selling any Elnas, and my friend came in, and I jammed it and showed her how to do heirloom sewing. And she went across town, and she bought a Bernina. I said, "Why did you buy a Bernina?" She said, "Well, come to my house for 10 minutes, and I'll show you." I went to her house. She said, "Bring your laces." Well, laces are lightweight. And by the way, another thing I do with laces, I put doctor's examining paper underneath it when I sew laces. Now it pulls apart. You can also use hard toilet paper, which is what we used to use. Oh Lord, but we don't. But the doctors, like when you go take your child to the pediatrician and they say, "Just can I please have that?" and take it home. Then you got enough stabilizer to last forever. I love to put that tissue paper. That doctor's examining paper, it's easy to pull off. I love to put it under laces when I'm working with laces. If I'm just butting laces together, because that way they won't slip and they won't turn and they won't do anything. So remember, doctors, and you can go to a medical supply place and get you a roll of doctor's examining paper. It's just good stable. Now it's not big and strong for heavy machine embroideries. I just use it for lace mostly. Anyway, what was I going to tell you? Oh, okay. So I went to her house. She said, bring your laces. Well, I did. And I took it, put it down in front of her brand new Bernina 930, and I zigzagged it. That was my first.
That's my first Bernina. I still have it.
And it, oh, well, of course you still have it because she's going to work forever. And she zigzagged it, and it didn't eat them. It didn't eat my lace. It had perfect tension. I said, oh, dear Lord, I can never show one of those. You know, I'm sure Eleanor's a good machine now. I'm not, or any way need to put down a machine, but I said, I can't stand it. She said, well, come over here and just make a straight stitch. Make a straight stitch. It was perfect. And zigzagging is perfect. I zigzagged the laces. It was perfect. I said, oh, dear. And so I knew I had to put Bernina in my book that I was writing. Nobody ever heard of me from Adam's House Cat. I was just, somebody was writing a book. Nobody ever heard of French sewing by machine, nothing. And I picked up the phone. I called the president of Bernina. I said, you don't know me, but I want to use your machine in my book. And he said, oh, you do? I said, yeah, that's the second one. That's the second one.
book.
And I said, I want to use your machine. He said, well, do you have any pictures? I said, I've got some gorgeous clothes, but now you know anybody because I've got gorgeous clothes that look like something that y'all put in the barn. Anyway, he said, please send the pictures. And I sent the pictures, and I got a phone call back from Diana Schlumpf, who was the education director at that time. She said, we've never seen any clothes this pretty. Yes, you can put Bernina in your book. Yes! I did not even own a Bernina, and I was photographing a Bernina for my book. Well, I was invited to go up to teach at Bernina University that summer. Oh, I was so excited. So I'd never taught. I just taught in my little shop. You know, I had a little shop at first, just one little shop. And I finally got a Bernina 930. I didn't even know hardly how to use it because I just barely got it. I was supposed to go up and be the big teacher that had written the new book. And so I did. And Edith Falk was in that class. Do any of you know Edith? Oh, my dear friend Edith. I kept in touch with her until she died. She's one of the most. She was one of our icons in this industry. And so Edith was in that class. There were about 45 Bernina dealers in that class. I thought, oh Lord, I've only had this machine open 3 times, but I knew how to set it on zigzag, and that's what I was going to do. Well, I was zigzag. Oh, they just thought it was fabulous. They were learning how to do laces, you know. At the break, Edith Falk came up to me and said, Martha, I'm Edith Falk, and my husband Leon is one of the best repairmen in the industry, and something's wrong with your sound. Something's wrong with your machine. I need to get. I said, oh, please get Leon to look at it. So when the break came, everybody went out to get a Coke. Leon came in. When everybody got back in, I was sitting down at the machine. He stood up in front of the room, y'all. I'll never forget it. I thought, well, why are you still here? He said, I fixed your machine. Well, thank you. He stood up in front of the room. He held up a bobbin. He said, Martha, I know you're in love with Bernina, and we are too. But it was so much better if you didn't have an Elna bobbin in it. I am teaching at Bernina University with an Elna bobbin in my brand new Bernina. Oh, it was a joke forever. But that's how long I've been with Bernina, when I didn't even know what bobbin to put in it. That's the truth. Anyway, this is a wonderful dress. Some of these things, some of my dresses are gorgeous. Some of them I paid a fortune for, and some of them I got for a bargain. This was kind of torn up in the back. But you see, you can do so much with this. If anybody wanted to wear it, like for a cotillion or something, but you can cut this up and make the most beautiful christening dress and sell it with antique materials. You can sell that for $600 or $700. Now, I'm not kidding. You can make enough money to make that $200 payment on this machine. And don't hang on to that retirement, because your kids are going to buy a Mercedes when you die, or fancy Toyota 4x4. But I'm not kidding you. You need to buy for you and enjoy it every single day. Y'all, I can't go to Europe anymore. I can't walk. Airplanes are awful, and those days of wonderful traveling are over. I just can't do it anymore. Airplanes are just awful on your back, as you know. But I'm having fun just being at home. I'm enjoying every minute of it. Of course, I did go back in business and made online stuff. But it doesn't hurt my legs to do online, does it? This is another beautiful dress. And this has something real unusual. It's puffing, but it's not puffing. It's pin tucks. It's double needle pin tucks. And you can even make a big piece and then go in there and cut strips. This has one of those fascinating details. I'm bringing you some good stuff. And where you get ideas, use 2 or 3 basic patterns. You don't need a pattern. You get your ideas and then you just do it to it. Yoke dress, or that's a waist dress, skirts. You plan anything you want. And I do like full skirts. You might not want such a full skirt. All right, another little dress. I got another trick to show you. Another trick. Now, this looks like a round yoke dress, doesn't it? They're a little harder to make. Well, here's the trick. This little antique dress. It's not a round yoke dress at all. It's a square dress with a little round collar on it. Talk about easy. rounds are just a little more trouble. I love that little dress. Well, I love all these. I've been all over the world for 45 years buying these clothes. I fell in love with christening dresses before I ever did the business. Is this? Okay, here's a ladies' dress. This is not my most beautiful dress, but it's pretty. It can be cut up and made something wonderful. I like the details. Of course, it's also still got some stains on it. But remember, you're going to cut these ladies' dresses up and make a christening dress and charge $400 or $500 for. Sometimes you can get these dresses for under $100. And if they're really nasty for $75, if they're in good shape. Now, you don't want to get a rotten dress. That's no good. But see, I just love children's white dresses. I just love it. Nothing any sweeter than a Swiss Petite dress. Easy, 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 easy sewing. Look here, they've even put the pin tucks, the double needle pin tucks around the sleeves. Lots of double needle pin tucks. You really need to, and it doesn't cost any money for double needle pin tucks. Okay, here's another little dress. Easy, easy, easy sewing. See how long it is? And the little sleeves, I think they were made like this. This is kind of a little puff sleeve with a straight sleeve below it. That's kind of an interesting sleeve. Okay, take your time. Anybody got any questions or any ideas to share? How many of you have done heirloom sewing?
Oh, yeah, 5 christening games.
5, Chris. I wish you'd brought them with you to see. I would have
They're in
loved
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
I was gonna say, I think I did that dress, but in a bishop. The cutout
They
lace
had the
with
bunny,
scallop.
had the bunnykins. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is one that Edith Fault made that Dana brought here today for us.
Okay.
And I'm not going to pass it around, but if you want to look at it, you come up
I
and look
made
at it.
several of those.
Oh, I love that bunnykins. Now, y'all, the quilt in the back is made by Lynn Holyoke of Australia. And she has loaned me that quilt. I want you to, all of you real quilters, it is out of this world. And she gave me permission to make a pattern, but there's no way in the universe I knew how to make a pattern out of that quilt. I'm not that skilled at quilt patterns. But I had it photographed professionally. I've got on my Rockstar Sewing. I have about 24 professional photographs of that quilt, which those of you that are superb quilt makers could make that quilt. I am not, so I didn't try to make that quilt. Now here's another dress, just a sweet, long. See how long they are? And I don't know who put those blue ribbons in. That would not be my choice, but I bought it like that, so the blue stayed. Oh, here's another one of these panties.
Oh.
Open drawers. Beautiful lace work. Beautiful. Look at the lace work.
Oh,
Can you imagine? And look, they have done a lace butterfly.
Oh,
You can make any kind of lace shape. Once again, the open drawers. Here we are. Right there. That makes it easy, doesn't it? But look at the lace work on this. It's just beautiful. There you go. Okay, here comes some puffing. When I'm talking about puffing, that you use a gathering foot to make the puffing.
Yeah, just so nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we are. Look,
Oh, yeah, there's some puffing.
and the puffing. Look at that puffing. I use a gathering foot for all my puffing.
Yep.
Is that it? Okay. All right. Now then, I'm going to show you some quilts. I happen to like easy to make quilts because I'm not really a quilter. I like quilts that you make, a mother or grandmother or great grandmother makes to hand that for the baby, the new baby that's coming. I like scripture quilts. I love scripture on the quilts, and I love heirloom sewing, and I love machine embroidery. So I'm just telling you right now, I like square quilts with gorgeous stuff on them. Here's one idea. I don't normally use turquoise, but this one has, you see how you practice all your heirloom sewing techniques on the quilt block. I mean, this is easy enough. It doesn't have to fit anything. It goes together easily and quickly, and that's something I like. Here, there. I didn't mean to. Now that my friend Nancy Pickett Fault, who was a professor at North Texas, she was a home ec professor, and she married Edith's cousin. And now look, I want to show you something. I told Nancy, I said, Nancy, I just wish I had an easy heirloom quilt pattern or something that's easy where we use it as beautiful, and I want scripture on it. Now this is an easy quilt to make, right? Honey, it wasn't 3 weeks later, I got a package in the mail, and she sent me this with she knows some of my favorite scriptures. It has some of my favorite scriptures on it. And then just easy heirloom sewing. Is this elegant or what? For 100 years, this will be a treasure. But let me tell you something else. I found on Etsy for $45 plus shipping the sweetest little scripture quilt you've ever seen in your life in pink and blue. $45. It had some fabulous scriptures on it. And I ordered some of them for gifts. And I sent one down to my great grandson. Wow, one of them's on its way to Korea. One of my children, one of my grandchildren, his daddy is lieutenant colonel in the army, so they're in Korea. Henry is, but I sent my one on down to Wilder in Birmingham. Morgan went so nuts over that quilt. She said, Nanny, this is the most beautiful thing. I just wrap him up in scripture. And she said, I just love this Jesus quilt. And she said, it's the softest. I paid $50 for them. Well, honey, I got on the internet and bought a bunch more on them. Nicest shower present in the world, but I want us to sew them and put the elegant. But she said, Nanny, I just wrap him up in Jesus. And she said, I ever put, when he getting ready to go to bed, I just wrap him up. And she said, Nanny, it's such a soft quilt. Do you think I could have one? So I ordered a pink one for her. I said, yes, you can have one. But y'all, this is, I'm going to tell you something else. Everybody listen to me. This is something new. How many of you know about I Spy quilts? You do? Okay. Some of you don't, though. It's the cutest thing you've ever seen, that you get pieces, squares of fabric. Usually most of my, they have lots, just boxes, squares. And you get all these squares of fabric. Like this one has crabs and then there's some, what are those? Flamingos. Thank you. And then over here, these are the fabric finders. And over here we have cats and dogs and watermelons and seahorses and more crabs. And then it is just, you could go through your stash if you all have a stash. And you find, and then what you do, just sew them together straight across. Talk about easy sewing. I mean, just putting blocks in, no sashing, no nothing. And then there's something, and you play with them. These, I like Montessori things. My girls love Montessori things. We'll talk about a Montessori thing. Say, I spy who sees a dog. And you look all over there, find a dog. There's the dog. So you can play games. And then when they get a little older, you can put a dog, and then over here somewhere else, you can put the word dog. Okay, where's the dog? There's the dog. Where's the word? There's the word dog. And alphabets. It'd be fun to do. Where's the A? I spy. Do I see an A? You can play games with it, kind of like a Montessori quilt is what I'm calling this. And it would be so easy to make. And actually, I did pay, most of those are about $150. And I bought one, I forgot to bring, I bought one just so I'd have a sample. And it's just little bitty squares, just squares. And you could even make some of them bigger and some of them smaller, make it a little more elegant. But these are just squares, sewn straight across with no sashing, no nothing. And talk about a fun, I can't wait to make I Spy quilts for my little grandbabies because they're big enough where they pick things out. That's what all these Montessori toys do, pick out something. This is another fun quilt. I'm sorry I didn't get this one pressed. But you use your heirloom sewing and make it easy, fast. Now, these are treasures as far as I'm concerned. And here's where you can practice all of your heirloom sewing. Machine embroidery. These are fabulous to have machine embroidery. And this has mostly just heirloom sewing. I think there's one hand embroidered. I just love this easy kind of quilt to practice your heirloom sewing on. And you talk about a gift, though. That little quilt back there that Nancy made for me with the scripture and the ecru on it, that'll be as beautiful. Well, all these, it's beautiful 150 years from now as they are today. But I just love these gifts for special occasions, and I love the scripture. Morgan said, I just wrap him up in this Jesus quilt. Wasn't that fun for her to tell me that? And but she wants one too. She says the softest, under $50 for that little quilt. Then Gloria McKinnon made this for me. These were the Godey's ladies that Martha Pullen Company had machine embroidery years and years ago. Godey's ladies, and Gloria made this quilt for me and sent it to me. My friend Gloria from Australia, that took me down there 28 times and had ladies gathered up. Oh my goodness. So much fun. Y'all, one of my funny stories from Australia. The first time I went, I mean, the ladies from all over Australia and New Zealand were there dressed up like they were going to a ball. Beautiful jewelry and gorgeous. Everybody was really dressed up. They didn't realize you wear blue jeans to these events, which I think is, and they were so dressed up. And one of the ladies, I was teaching a camisole and a slip, a beautiful pattern, but pretty elaborate. Now, y'all women in Australia sew so much, you don't ever have to explain how to do anything. You just say, here's the pattern, here's your kit, and you start telling them stories. That is absolutely, they just don't need any help. You just hand them the kit and they do it. But anyway, one of the ladies named Margarita, she was probably about 70-ish, and I gave her a kit for the petticoat. I had this long ruffle with just lace zigzagged on the edge. And she had been sewing about an hour, and I went by and she had this much for lace on. I thought, oh, I said, Margarita, can I help you? No, Martha, no, Martha. I never had so much fun in my life. I thought, okay. I said, well, I'm so glad you're enjoying this. And you're doing a beautiful job. You got A+ on the lace making after an hour, that much. I went back as we were getting ready to have our morning tea, and she had about this much done. I said, now, Margarita, are you okay? Oh, Martha, I've never had so much fun in my life. I just love this, Martha. I just love it. I thought, okay, you might be something wrong with you. If you, I mean, why would you have? Most of them had half their petticoat made. By lunch, I went by and she had about this much of the lace on the bottom of her ruffle. I said, oh, Marguerite, you're the best lace sewer in the room. Do you need any help? Oh, no, Martha, I don't need any. I just love this. And so the afternoon went on and the ruffle still was not done. The rest of them had their petticoats done. I said, Margarita, are you still having fun? She said, oh, Martha, I've never had so much fun in my life. And I said, well, tell me about it. She said, Martha, I have a secret to tell you. This is going to be a good secret. She said, I have a secret. I said, oh, tell me your secret. And she said, Martha, this is the first time I've ever in my life sewn on an electric sewing machine. She never had a zigzag. And come to find out, she was a rancher's wife. They ranched sheep. That's what they have in Australia. About 400 or 500 acres. It was so far out in the boondocks, they had to have their mail brought in by airplane and dropped in once a week. And she said, Martha, we have not had electricity, and the generators were just not real successful out there. And I now have really proper generators. I guess I had fabulous electricity, but I didn't allow myself to buy an electric sewing machine because the power was no good. And she said, Martha, this is just pure heaven. I thought, honey, I know it is. I can't. She said, I've been working on a treadle machine my whole life. Anyway, so, she was so thrilled. And I thought, oh, Kathy, my friend Kathy was down there teaching over in the next room. She was teaching free sewing by serger. Oh, God. Oh, no. Oh, no. She had this much. I said, Kathy, come here. I said, I want you to meet Margarita, and she has a secret to tell you. Marguerite, tell Miss Kathy what you just told me. Kathy, I have never sewn on an electric sewing machine before. And I said, Marguerite, the fun thing is you're going to have Kathy tomorrow and you're going to be working on a serger. Okay, she said. I looked at Kathy. I knew she'd never heard one like this before. She walked back over in the room and she made sure that nobody was looking. She looked at me. She went. And so Margarita finished one ruffle. Everybody else had the petticoat finished. She's loved it. And next day she went to her serger class. I want you to know she did serger as well as anybody else. Zipped on that serger. She was excellent seamstress. Just scared to death of an electric machine. And by the way, I will have to tell you the good news. As she left to go back on the train, back to her home, she took a brand new top of the line Bernina serger and a brand new top of the line Bernina machine. Every foot that they had, it was a Bernina event. Every foot that they had to go with it, every accessory,
wow.
She went home loaded. So it was a good thing that she came. She said she'd never had so much fun. I said, honey, I can't imagine that this is such a thrill. A treadle sewing machine. Anyway, now, let me show you. Now, Barbara, we probably need to put this up on that camera, honey.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to show you a little bit. How many of you have ever done any lace shaping? You made a lace heart. How many of you have not done any? It is so easy, y'all. It's so easy, and I'm going to show you how. Let me see if I can sit down without falling on the floor. This is what lace shaping looks like. Here's a pretty one with a bow and some tails on the bow. These are the things you work with. And by the way, as I said, John has a fabulous assortment of lace. You're getting 30% off this weekend. So if you want to get some lace to go home and work with, and then let me show you how you do this.
Just place it right under.
Okay, lace shape right there. All right, now then, I use, as I told you, I've got the. Can you see this? Can you see this on the television? Okay, I've given you about 50 or 60 lace shapes to print off if you're interested in my Rockstar Sewing event. You know, my, what do you call it? Retreat, which hopefully will be ready in September. Oh, it's got such a long. I think I was afraid I would never get to do anything again, so I've got everything I ever know or ever knew in this one rock. So, let me show you something. I got to show you one more. Yeah. I went to the Houston Quilt Show. How many of you have one of these babies? Oh, in fact, I was at the Houston Quilt Show, and I went by one of the booths, and they showed me this iron, and I got this very one. I loved it so much I took it home in my suitcase because I knew I was going to be taping. This is the best toy you've ever had. This, you plug this in. I keep it. Here's my sewing machine. It's right here on my cabinet. I really don't get up and down very easily. How many of you love to get up and go to the ironing board every time you make a stitch? I don't either. My legs hurt when I get up and down. I saw this. I said, oh, this is little iron, not too heavy. And I keep it right here. And the bottom part stays plugged in, but it turns off. And you just do that set and you turn it on. And then you just press right there. I don't have to get up. It is the best little toy I've ever had. I took it home with me. It's on all of my television shows. Oh, it's like $119. But I keep it right here. They've got a few of them, or one of them, but he can order more. And here's my sewing machine. Here's this iron. Now then, up until then, I thought, what am I going to do for a little ironing board? I can actually iron. These are from Hobby Lobby. Okay? It's your grandchildren, your children's science project. Those big old boards that open up. Hobby Lobbies. This is fat. It's real. It's tough cardboard. And I buy one of these. This one was white. It has a cardboard back. And I pay them. The board's about $7. Big old board. And I pay them to divide it up and to equal and to do that. I think I paid them $10 to cut it. Well worth $17. Then I've got all these boards to work on to do my lace shaping, the quilts and all. Okay, here we go. Now, lace insertion of 2 straight sides. But the secret is there are gathering threads built into both those sides. And the way you can, now I'm going to show you what we're going to do to shape it. Can y'all see this?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll undo this one. Now remember my pattern is underneath here where I can see through it, right? Because I printed that off with these patterns. Oh, y'all, I've got a good retreat for you. I promise you I do. Everything I know, I did in this one retreat, thinking I might never do another one. And I might not. Oh, Lord. Maybe if I forget the website, I'll feel more comfortable doing another one. Right now, those 150, did you see some of the embroidery designs on that beautiful front of the skirt and that beautiful alphabet, that 1857? I've got another alphabet that actually looks like chain link fence. It was 1870. It looks like a chain link fence. I've never seen anything like either one of those alphabets. It isn't your usual machine embroidery alphabet. I don't think it is anyway. All right, now then the lace is straight. It's called insertion. It has 2 straight sides. All right, I'll come down here at the bottom. I leave a little bit of a tail down there. That's the reason I've got to have glass head pins or magic pins. Oh, I do love those magics. They're easier to get in a cardboard box than these glass ones are because I'm sticking this in a cardboard box. Okay, I come around. Now remember, I'm working with a straight piece of lace. So I come around the curve. It's hard to put these pins in. Let me get me some of my magic pins. They're easier. You're something to hang on to, too. And again, if you've got arthritis in your fingers, take some of these home with you because you can actually pick them up, got something to hold on to that isn't a little knot. All right, now, but the other ones are cheaper. All right, now, oh, I love these magic pins so much. All right, now then I'm going around here. Can you see I'm going around? There's my shape right there. I'm taking the lace around. It's not curved at all yet. I'm just putting the flat lace down. I've bent all these pins. Being so sharp, I bent the pins. Now then, here we go. I'm sticking them. And by the way, keep it kind of taut. Not tight, but taut as I go around. But if you've got some ruffles in it, it won't matter. It'll be pretty too. Now I come to the middle. This is my miter. Pin at the top. Pin at the bottom. Can everybody see that? Then I fold it back on itself. Remove the top pin. Put it through 2 layers. And voila, you have a perfect. Now I've still got a problem here, don't I? This is not a heart yet because it's still straight. See, I've given you video after video. And by the way, you can go online. All of my television shows are on YouTube free now. And a lot of my videos where I teach this are on there free. But I've redone everything and done such close-ups for you. I think, but anyway, but you can get my lace shaping by going on YouTube tonight. You don't have to buy my course. All right, now look. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to find the gathering thread. Wish I had my glasses on. I don't think I found one. Maybe here's one. All right, here we go. I found a gathering thread. And now there it is. Now I'm going to pull it. Now watch what happens When I pull it, magic. I have a heart. It pulls it in. And then you go all the way around it, and then you get a miter at the bottom. Miter at the bottom is a little bit tricky, and I've gone over it 15 times on my lace shaping on this retreat. So the little trick will not be a trick anymore. Now here's what you do. You put a squirt thing in this. You don't pour, and you squirt. If you use Niagara starch, you hold it up and you do squirt. If you put too much on there, you'll spend the rest of the afternoon trying to dry it. And then you go on top of the pins. Press till dry. Press till dry. Press till dry, or you will cry. Okay, say it with me. Press till dry. Press till dry. Press till dry, or you will cry. And then when it's dry, you can do one of two things. Remember, we always had to trace these designs on until I found out that the new inkjet printers don't bleed. Oh, Lord. Because used to, if I used a paper piece run off of the Xerox machine, you'd have ink. No ink. It's wonderful. Oh, so I can actually put the paper behind here. Now, let me tell you another trick that I've just discovered doing all this. I wanted to get some new things. You always want something new. So guess what? I decided. If you remove this from the board, like that lady didn't do, you move it from the board and you stick pins in it like this. And you pin it flat. And then you remove it, and then you've already got it pressed and spray starch, but then you have to take your pins out one by one, which is kind of a pain. I thought, hang on a minute, let's just use a little glue behind there. This is washable glue. It all washes out. It dries pretty quickly. And I think now the Aleene's has a little skinny tip on it, but this is the Roxanne's, which is another fabulous brand. And it has two, I'm not sure whether there's a tip on it or not, but you can actually use Elmer's glue, the sticks, but that's a big old thing. Yeah, but you just put a little dabs of glue behind it every now and then, as little dab as you can get, but sometimes you get too much. We gotta let it dry, let it dry, let it dry. But you see, then you don't have to work with any pins at all. After it dries completely, y'all, don't go in there and do wing needle entourage on wet glue. Oh, not good. No, not good for the lace or your sewing machine. Then after it dries totally, you can go back in and do your zigzag. You can do this with zigzag. You don't have to have a fancy machine to do heirloom sewing. You can sew these laces down just with zigzag or straight stitching. Now, I love to do the wing needle entourage. I love the double needles, and on double needles. Have y'all ever done twin needle work where you had two different colors of the double needles, one in one needle and one in the other one? It is so pretty. I've given you a whole lesson on twin needle work. Be careful if you do twin needle work and you make scallops. They're so pretty, especially with two different colors. But you want to be sure you're not going to go too wide, or everything will be busted. My other main tool that I use for sewing is wooden shish kebab sticks. Y'all probably saw those. If you would, they used to have those metal things if you sew over that, your machine is gone. Don't ever put anything down metal to hold it with. Or sometimes I've seen people use those things you take the stitches out with, and not good. But a wooden shish kebab stick, you buy them at the grocery store. Sewing tools in the grocery store. I think you get 100 for $1 or $2. I sew with a shish kebab stick in my hand at all times because it's nice to pull it and to be able to push it. If you sew over that shish kebab stick, you're not going to hurt your machine at all. And anything else, metal or plastic, somebody said, well, what about my chopsticks at the stores? I said, chopsticks are too hard. You're going to ruin the machine. So wooden shish kebab sticks, you'll never ruin your machine. Doesn't matter what you sew over. And then if you have this, you won't have to hold anything down because you glued it down. I just think those are great tricks. And this little baby right here, I'm telling you, I give you permission to go home with one of those. Now this little Laura Star down here on the floor. Have y'all seen this? Tony, would you come pick over the Laura Star? I've got the box for this one. And by the way, the little Panasonic one has a case. You put it down on there, pick it up and take it anywhere. Hey, we'll let it get cool. Now that pink one's what I want to show you. If you'll please put that up there. Thank you so much. Now this is the one that I saw out in Seattle last time I was teaching there. I went crazy. Do any of you have a Laura Star, that big humongous ironing board that lifts all the fabric? Oh my God, it's as big as a house. It's practically as big as an ironing board as this. Very, very heavy, but it is fabulous. It has the water down below it and shoots it up with the most fabulous steam you've ever seen in your life. Well, guess what? I have one of those, and it's huge. And And also, after 3 years, it doesn't work anymore. But it was wonderful while it lasted. However, I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up when I'm sewing. This is the same quality, and I love the pink since I'm a breast cancer survivor. This is the same. Would you pick up the iron? There you go. This is the same. You put it in the floor, and you put the water, and then you got it right in the floor. You don't have to have this humongous ironing board. And I love this. I haven't bought one. It's heavy. It gets that same Lara Star quality. If you've never ironed with a Lara Star, it's so funny. Lara Star takes out all the wrinkles, and it's fabulous. But this is a Lara Star quality that just sits on the floor by you. Now I haven't bought one. I think they're $800. Well, you know what though? If you Lara Stars are about $3,500 for that ironing board and the Lara Star. And this is the same quality. As I said, when you sew out a wrinkle, the wrinkle's gone. Sometimes I got to go over them. This is my new toy that I just love. And I'm telling you, I never saw one of these until I went to the Houston Book Show. And they showed me, here's my sewing machine, because I don't want to get up and down. No, my legs don't get up and down very well. And I just love it. Now, here's another trick. I had this. I thought, well, what am I going to do for an ironing board? Well, first of all, these went all the pins, Barbara. These Hobby Lobby things make a perfect ironing board. They're very, very stiff and very thick. So I really have just stitched down on this. But if you already have it off the board and you want to sew, I had one of these boards. Lord, I've had one for 100 years. So I thought, well, that's a pretty small ironing board because I didn't want to get up. Remember, I don't want to get up and down. So I put this thing. Some of you have one of these, I'm sure, and have had one for forever. Well, I found this one in my sewing stuff. And I put it right back here on my sewing table. Then when I got ready to sew, first I brought this, but it was off the board, and I put it right there and sewed. Well, all of a sudden, since I got out here to Mr. John's store, let me show you what. Where is that? Oh, this felt pad. Barbara, where's the felt pad?
That's right there on the corner.
The felt pressing pad. Oh, right there.
Right there on the corner.
Would you mind, John, handing me that? Thank you so much. This. Any of you have one of these? The felt, I never even saw one before that Pam Demure, who's a very close friend. I said, what is that? And I'm have one of these because that's going to be better than dragging this thing. And I can throw it back there. Here I've got it now, and bring it here, put it there. And I don't have to get up and do anything, do I? So some of you already have this. Is it magic? Everybody tells me. Everybody looks. Well, I found my new pressing board. I don't have to drag this thing. It's kind of heavy, but at least it was skinny. I don't want to get up. That's my scheme there. I don't want to get up. So, well, that's kind of lazy. It's exercise. Not when your legs hurt and your back hurt. Isn't exercise. So I've got everything right here with me. Now let me just see if I have any more ignorance to share with you. Well, I have a lot more than we could, but I think I about told you everything I need to tell you. If any of you want to know everything I know about starting a business and running a home-based business, it's in this book. This was supposed to be a 200-page book, and probably I have too many words, so it's a 400-page book. And John is going to start carrying this on his website, he said. I also have a devotional book that I was just part of my dreams was to do one devotional book. I set out scripture. By the way, I'm gonna start another newsletter. Y'all, did I give you my personal email? Okay. Until the middle of September. Here it is. Painless Pullen. My husband called himself Painless Pullen in the dental office. And so he got this address and he never used it because he never learned to use a computer. So it's Painless, PAINLESS PULLEN, and then the number 1. And then number 1. And then it's at iCloud.com. I had my Gmail address broken into, and I got 20,000 emails in one day from all over the world. Well, needless to say, I had to dump my Gmail address. All right, now then, let me give you my address. After I get my Rockstar Sewing website up, my personal address will be Martha@rockstarsewing.com. And my website will be rockstarsewing.com. But we're not ready yet. Just pray that my sweet little kids down in Australia have the time from their other jobs. Cecil works about 4 jobs. She also teaches gymnastics. And she works at a stunt school where she jumps out of a 3-story building and teaches other people how to jump out, where they train stunt people. So she's jumping out of a 3-story building. Oh, Lord.
Okay.
I know. When I saw that, I thought, dear God, I sent her to Australia and look what she's doing. But she has a job there. She teaches acrobatics. She has a job at a computer company. And y'all, she loves horses better than any person I ever knew. And she looked on the website and it said the family needed someone to take care of a little horse, Peppy, when they went on a 6-month vacation. Well, guess who called? And she's in love with Peppy. And Peppy didn't want to learn how to be ridden. Peppy's a little bit lazy. He just likes to be loved. And she said, Peppy, we're going to ride. So she has taught Peppy to ride. She rides bareback, by the way. And she's taught Peppy to ride. Says, you're not going to be a lazy horse. She goes out there every day. She was supposed to go out 3 times a week, to be sure he had extra carrots. That's right. She goes out every day to talk to her baby. She said, Mommy, it's going to be hard to leave Australia. I don't want to leave Peppy. But she's also takes care of a horse every day. I said, I wonder where you got that overworking ambition. She said, look at me. Look in the mirror. Anyway, that's what she's doing. I have other fabulous grandchildren and those 2 great grandbabies. Oh. Now, listen, my Facebook that I write on all the time, I have too many words, you know that, all of you have known me a while, is Martha Campbell Pullen. And although I have 5,000, so I can't take you as a friend, but you can look at everything I write, look at everything I do, okay? Although I can't take any more friends, they won't let me. They're mean to me. And then I have another one called Martha Campbell Pullen Entrepreneur. And if I can remember it, and you can join that one. I think you have 20 million on that one. I don't have, and you can write on that one. If I can just remember, I can share all my stuff I put on one. I'm over there. Sometimes I forget. But you can see what I'm doing. And I'm very active on Facebook. I put everything I know on Facebook. And you have both of my email addresses. The Painless Pulling works now. And Martha at Rockstar. Dear God, help those kids get it up. And they're working on it 6 months. Oh. I think everybody's thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. It's never going to happen. Well, it might not. No, it's going to happen.
Do you have a newsletter now?
No. Honey, I haven't worked for any company. I have a non-compete. I could do nothing in sewing for about 8 years.
So how will we know when that Rockstar sewing?
Well, you're going to watch me on Facebook.
Okay.
You want to ask them down here. Matter of fact, John's going to sit. Y'all get John's newsletter, don't you? He's told me he's going to help me let people know.
Okay.
And I'll have it on my Facebook. And you can read my Facebook, even though you don't. And now I want all of you to get on my newsletter. I told you to help me.
Yes. You mean your books? No.
But John's going to have my books on his website if any of you are interested in the business book or the devotion. But no, you're going to help me tell them when my Rockstar Sewing is ready.
Yes.
I told you. I thought you
We'll
told
be
me.
on our website. Yeah.
Okay.
In our
when it's-
email.
Email. And I'll have an email as soon as I get him. I love to write emails.
Why can't you take more friends on your Facebook page?
5,000 on the personal is all they allow, and I've got 5,000.
If it's a business.
Business, you can do more. My business address is Martha Campbell Pullen Entrepreneur. I can take more on that
That's
one.
the one that's
But I can't-
unlimited friends.
But I forget sometimes to put, I put pictures of my grandbabies. My grandbaby Wilder in Birmingham, he is not 2 yet. He can ride a scooter just like an adult. I've never seen such athletic ability in my life. He can also ride a skateboard. Of course, he wears a helmet. But the child can do his skateboard and not fall off of it. He's just, some children are just born athletes. And I've never seen anything quite like it. Of course, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. How many of you are grandmothers? Let me just see. Okay, confess. How many of you are great-grandmothers? Well, y'all just not old. Well, you're old enough to, you don't feel any different about them as you did about your grandchildren or your children? Oh, Lord.
I don't know. I think she's a lot more crazy about the great-grandchildren.
About how many greats do you have?
Really?
Oh, 4 greats. Well, you look like a young chicken to have 4 greats. Oh, my goodness. It's just the most wonderful. Oh. And one of my little greats, as I told you, lives in Korea. His father is a very, very accomplished military officer, lieutenant colonel. He was made last fall. He is heading up, I can tell you this, I was not proud. He's heading up the Apache helicopter division of Fort Humphreys in Korea. And they're doing some very serious things in idea of protecting this country. And a lot of the young pilots have never fought. They've never, like he had 4 tours of duty Iraq and ran all the places, but the younger pilots just are trained in pilot, but they've never fought, and they're training them how to fight. And what he said to me when they left, he said, now, Nanny, he said, now, this country is not in a real good situation right now. And I think anybody sitting here knows that we could be attacked by Russia or China at any time or have to go defend. But anyway, he said, let me just tell you what, He said, if there is a problem, Sarah Jo and Henry will be on a plane out within 6 hours. He said, we will send the women out on transport, the military transport. Said, we won't wait for private. We'll load them up just like that, and we'll get them out. Said, they'll be out of there they'll be on their way home within 6 hours. And let's just pray nothing happens because this country is not in a good shape. But God is still in control. I have to tell myself, why don't people in this country realize that God is in control? We need to turn back to God. But, I tell it and say it, and probably many of you do too, and we need a revival in this country bad. We really do. But that's okay. Us praying people can just pray harder, can't we? And I do believe so in prayer. That's the most important thing. Now, John, I'm done talking. I'm done got to preach. I'm done got to preaching now. John says draw. Oh, John they're big Christians too. John Douthit and Annette, he just lost his wife in March. Annette passed away in March. But the Douthits are big Christians too, and I like to support Christian companies, don't you?
This is the final drawing for the day.
Did they get all of that?
Yes.
Yo, she's giving the best door prize out there. I thought we'd take one at a time. Yeah, you give it a one. Okay, John, all right, here we go.
Price list.
Did you get the Bernina price list too? And y'all, I'm in love with Bernina, and I'm in there. And when I tell you, if you have a Bernina and you didn't get a brother, then take the brother home. If you have a brother and you don't have a Bernina, take the Bernina. I've given you permission to take the blasted machines home. And if your husband says, what about that something sitting there on the floor? Well, honey, I went down to Dallas today and they had a great prize special. And there was a little girl from Brother, and then there's Martha selling Berninas. And I just wanted that machine so bad. I couldn't stand. I've been wanting it forever, and I bought it. Well, he'd say one of two things. You buy everything for those children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. I'm so happy you bought it. It's just the machine of my dreams. I'm happy you bought that machine. Now, you're in luck if he says that. But if he should say, now, just wait a minute. If he should say, what do you mean? I bet that machine cost $2,000. Or $500. What do you mean? I got you a machine in 1985, and you're still sewing on that nice machine. I know it, honey. I know, and I'm proud of the machine you bought me. Okay, but they told me I could bring it. It can be brought back. They told me it can be returned. Well, guess what? That machine's going back on Monday. It's a store. I understand, honey. I understand. But now, darling, I do want you to know that I would be too embarrassed to take that machine back. You're going to have to take it back for me. What man in the world, if he ever wants a hot meal or any clean underwear back in his drawer, is going to send that machine back? They're not going to take it back, so you just cry and put that machine up in your sewing room. And that's the way you get your machine. How does that sound? Oh, look at you.
Oh my
Oh my
God.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Where's the camera? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Where's my camera? You got, look at that. Now, oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Can we sing together?
Yes, you can sing. You can sing. I like happy birthday.
Happy
birthday to you. Happy birthday
to
you. Happy birthday, dear Martha.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to
Listen to your voices.
Thank you
You
very
want
much.
to blow that
Yeah, well, sure. Or we could, is it okay to blow
out? Will
them
it
out?
help?
No, I was just thinking, is it all right to blow them out? I don't have anything wrong with me.
Give us some of your sewing.
Oh, you can do this as a hang around it.
You gonna put a bib on it?
Is this thing?
I think I'll be 79 on Sunday.
Well, that's great.
And you know what,
Hey,
my
she
mother?
did it. She did it.
I have a Miss America. Oh my goodness. Well,
Maybe I
I
put it on there wrong.
think you did. Let's get me stand up. Did you make a picture of the cake? Oh, now wait, I've got to stand up. I've got a Miss America badge here.
I figured out how to do
Well, we'll figure it out together. There you go. What does that say? Happy birthday?
that. Yes, that's the way to do it. I
We
forgot.
did it. We did. Here we are.
Okay, Mark,
That's
let's see.
perfect.
All right, John, let's see, both of you
All right,
there.
come- number 79. I'm so blessed to be 79. Let me tell you.
I'm 79 too, so we're both the same age.
1 month difference in age.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Anyway, well, let me tell you one more thing. My mother was a glorious woman. She was brilliant, had 2 graduate degrees and was a college administrator. Loved school teaching better than anything in the world. She thought nothing was like school teaching. And my grandmother started teaching in 1910 in the state of Alabama. She had 50 students in a one-room schoolhouse, and she was 16 years old. But what I want to tell you about my mother, every birthday until she was, the last birthday she had at age 83, she said, I finally reached the perfect age. Everybody remember that? I found out 2 more things I want to say. You finally, every birthday, I'm 79. I finally reached the perfect age. Now I want you to do 2 more things. Well, I don't think I did with this class. Repeat after me. I'll say it first. I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
Oh, that wasn't loud enough. I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I am beautiful exactly the way I am today.
I'm beautiful exactly the way I am.
And you are beautiful. Women who sew and men who sew too. You're the most beautiful, wonderful people I've ever known. And the joy of sewing, and that's what sewing is to me. You know, I'm a school teacher. And the main part of that joy is seeing you light up and seeing, oh, I like that. And seeing you sit behind the machine and sew through the cardboard box. And they make you feel. But the joy of teaching sewing and writing those wonderful books and getting these beautiful clothes, it has been to see your joy. I am a teacher, and it's been to see your joy. And I think we have been able to bring joy. And I had a fabulous staff. And my husband, Joe, best man that ever walked on this earth. And I even had the nerve to go off to heaven when he way too early. But anyway, he's having a better day than we are. And my beloved mother and my family they supported me. And Joe wouldn't let me quit. The first 7 years were horrid. I was doing $2.5 million a year of business and not 1 penny profit. Joe was still working in the dental office 6 days a week to pay the bills. And I said, Joe, I can't do it any longer. I'm killing myself. I was on the plane all over the world. When Princess Diana was killed in that car wreck, I was teaching in Australia, and 2 weeks later I was teaching in England when they had all the flowers out in front of that's what kind of travel. I was killing myself. I said, I can't do this any longer. He said, no, you can. He said, Martha, I see the joy on people's faces when they come here, and they say to me, oh, Dr. Joe, I lost my mother this year, and if I didn't know I was coming to Huntsville, I couldn't have made it. And we had several that had lost children. One had lost a young boy. And she said, if I hadn't been, and she came a week after the funeral. I said, I'm so sorry. We cried. And she said, Martha, if I hadn't had this to look forward to, I knew I was coming to see Martha, and I knew I was coming to Huntsville. And I got here, and I couldn't have made it through losing my child. You know, that happened all the time. And people would send me pictures of their Christian dresses they had made and their quilts they made. It was pure joy, but I said, Joe, I can't do it. And so he said, I'll tell you, you're not quitting. You're not quitting. I can pay the bills a while longer. And so he hired a team of accountants, and I mean a rock star team of accountants that came in over a period of 6 weeks. So I always had accountants, but these were not just they came in to do a boot camp and find out why I wasn't making any money. $2.5 million a year is a lot for me to have a salary of $700 a month. Yeah. I know this is true. That's what my salary was after 7 years. They came in and they found out everything I was doing wrong. We had some things that were very profitable. And other things that were just sucking all the profit. I was bringing in shoes from England, little shoes, and I was bringing in lots of prints. And in my business, we sold solid colors and lace. And I was bringing in all these quilting fabrics. You know, people didn't come to me for quilting. I didn't have the right choice. I didn't know how to, but I had a whole store full of quilting fabric. Nobody came to me for quilting fabrics. I was doing some of it. Oh, I was having little note cards made. They're expensive artists. And he said, Martha, you're going to quit everything except these 5 things. My teaching and my events, the magazine, and books. You're quitting everything except fabrics and laces. You know, but I said, what? Do you want to keep the business or you want to quit it? Because you've told me you're going to quit if you can't turn a profit. I did everything they told me to do. I quit all that stuff. And I thought, because Joe said you can't quit because I've seen their faces and I've seen the joy. And y'all, to bring joy, to be a joy maker, and I know every one of you are joy makers in your life. I know you are. And to take joy out is one of the greatest things I think we can do, whatever our jobs, whatever we do. He said, Martha, you can't quit. I've seen the ladies. They depend on getting to come to this school. Some of them came twice a year and said, I was ready to blow my head off and everybody else's head off, but I knew I was getting on the plane going to Huntsville. I've heard that 1,000 times. Anyway, I love you, and I wanted to tell you all, and you are beautiful. Don't ever think you're not beautiful. Sewing ladies are beautiful people. I know about 1 million of them. Anyway, thank you. I'll quit on it. Now,
Thank you,
we
Mark.
haven't gone through this door
That's
prize.
what we're doing.
Okay, there we go. All right, I'm looking the other way. I always do. Do I have just one in my hand?
I hope she's still here.
Oh, yeah.
Me?
No.
I know, we just didn't. I thought you meant he hoped I was still there. I said, boy, you crazy?
Kitten Dowden, Kitten Dowder,
Kitten, when she's not here, we'll draw again.
Kitten
No,
Dowder. I want to make sure that, it's all again.
Have to be here again. Here's another one. Love this.
Not mine, 'cause
Is it,
Beulah
Beulah McKenzie?
McJimsey. He's gone, okay.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Beulah.
Remember, get
Here we
food.
go now. The rest of you can get your hopes up.
Yeah.
All right, is this one?
Jennifer Newman.
She's gone.
She's
She
gone.
won the morning
Sorry,
prize.
sorry.
Did she win the
She
morning
won the
prize?
morning
Yeah.
prize. Yes, she did.
Well, all
She
right.
won two twice.
Well,
She
Twice?
must have.
she must have put a whole bunch of
She
names.
must have
Ah, that's
stopped
not
the
fair.
ballot.
Oh.
She must have stopped the.
Stopped the
She
ballot.
must
Jennifer Newman, no.
have.
Linda also.
Oh,
you come
we
on.
have a winner. Here we, and boy, you're not gonna believe what's in this door prize. Oh, looky there. She didn't get the basket, does she?
She gets the whole thing.
The basket
Oh,
too.
check with them up front. I don't know about the basket.
Okay.
You get everything in
All right.
She gets the
Everything in
basket.
the basket.
Oh,
Yes, you
well,
get the basket.
Linda came to my school in Arlington.
In Arlington.
She came to Arlington back when we had Martha's Sewing Market every year. Well, congratulations, sweet girl. You did good. You got A plus. Did you make a picture of me and my Miss America? You did? Well, thank you. And by the way, they're gonna cut the cake. Now we're gonna have a
Oh,
party.
yeah.
Thank you, John.
Please stay
Thank
in.
you very much for that wonderful party.
Please
I
stay
thank you.
and have a slice of Martha's birthday cake.
Well, this is a nice party. Come on, let's have a party. And I.